Good morning, everybody. Jim Feist and Hank Goldberg here in Las Vegas. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. I hope everybody has a healthy and happy holiday season. Hank, good morning.
Well, you started off with something I can't disagree with. So,
That's funny.
I'm coming off a real good weekend. On the picks, we were 7-2.
Wow.
The only losses were the under on the Pittsburgh-New Orleans game, and I had Kansas City against Seattle. Kansas City's defense is just pathetic, and Russell Wilson had a big game, and his receivers were tremendous, and they had their running game strong, and I thought Mahomes started off slow, but he came on in the game, but just wasn't enough because his defense really let him down. And, going forward, I don't know about Kansas City, what they're going to be able to do.
Well, it comes down to the old adage, champions are made of great defense and strong running game. And it's not quite that today in today's modern football, but it's still a great part of it. When you look at the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, they run the ball well, and they play strong defense. That type of that works when the pressure is on. Mahomes is a great athlete. I hope he never gets hurt and has anything like that happen to him. But he's a tremendous athlete. But there's a lot of missing pieces, and I do believe losing Kareem Hunt, who's an explosive type player, an unusual explosive type player, I think that hurt them. It didn't.
I don't think there's anything missing to Mahomes' game. I mean, he put up 28 points against at a place that's very difficult to play in.
No, he's great.
And he kept coming at that team and gave him a pretty good scare. And Russell Wilson had to do everything in the league. This Kansas City's defense just could not stop the running game for Seattle, and Russell Wilson probably had his best game of the year. And the Kansas City's secondary was pathetic. They could not. By the way, Russell Wilson actually, when I say their defense was pathetic, they actually had pretty good coverage. Russell Wilson was putting every pass on the money. He just really was on his game, and you can't say anything negative about Mahomes.
No, I can't at all. He's fantastic. You put the right pieces around him with the defense, and then they're going to go along. There's a lot of great talent, and they're missing a couple pieces here and there. That game with the Ravens against the Chargers was quite interesting. I mean, that was a brutal game, cross-country trip, and a big game like that. The Ravens are showing up. That's a tough team.
They're showing up, and Phillip Rivers showed up again in a very important primetime game. He was terrible. Had his worst game of the year, as usual, when the money was on the line. But they were all over him, and I'll tell you, Baltimore right now, they've got a quarterback, and I'm watching him, and he reminds me a little bit of a faster version of Tim Tebow. He's like a running back playing quarterback. He's not refined in terms of his passing game, although he does make a few good throws in the course of a game. But he runs for as many yards as he throws for. And, defenses don't know exactly what to do with him. But their defense right now is overwhelming. And, and they can run the ball. So we'll see, but right now, Pittsburgh is gone. And, Pittsburgh, you have to question what they did in the game in New Orleans, where on fourth down, when they're in a close game like they were, and they give Drew Brees field position that they did by going for a fourth down rather than punting. and they didn't make it. That was a terrible decision by that coach.
That was definitely a critical moment for sure. You know, now Pittsburgh has to hope that Cleveland can beat the Ravens next week, which is, I mean, that's a bitter rivalry between Pittsburgh and Cleveland, and now they have to root for Cleveland to win that game. That's kind of ironic.
And that game's at Baltimore too. So
yeah, it is. You know, it's you know, the Aaron Rodgers came back with a big effort last week. The season's over for them, but he came out and played. A lot of people thought he might sit, but he did not. He played strong. It was Philadelphia. You know, now the big argument in Philadelphia: who should be their quarterback? That's interesting. I don't think that Wentz was ever 100% right this year. I'm not sure he ever fully recovered.
I don't think he ever did. And remember, all his passes were check downs and passes to the tight end. And yesterday you watched him go downfield again. Their vertical passing game was far more relevant than it had been with Wentz. So, and they beat a very good Houston defense. And Houston's quarterback had a good game yesterday against Philadelphia's defense. Philadelphia's secondary showed up as a weakness for them. That Hail Mary was really a heck of a play that Philadelphia made.
It was.
It was kind of a miracle deal for Philadelphia.
Yeah, it certainly was. Well, we got there's some games for next week that we don't have lines on yet. There's a lot of these teams have sewed up where they're at. There'll be the one big game next week at 5:25 our time, 8:25 Eastern time, is Indianapolis at Tennessee. Now the winner is in, and the loser goes home. So that's going to be a big game. And who's going to show up in that one? You got the great running game for Tennessee, but the Colts defense has been really good, and Andrew Luck has been out of sight. The second half, from what I'm hearing, is he was really pissed at halftime and really called out his team, and they came out in the second half, played extremely well.
Well, his defense, the Giants, who have been playing very well on the road. I had the Giants yesterday taking the points. I gave that out. The Giants almost pulled that game out at the end. But Indianapolis' defense has been somewhat up and down the last few weeks. And they don't play the run very well. That's going to be a problem against Tennessee, because Tennessee can run the ball.
They sure can.
Henry is a tough guy to play against, and they've got a good running game there. And the Giants' running game really hurt Indianapolis, and so we'll see what happens in that game. But the Giants were never in trouble in that game as far as being a two-score dog was concerned, and I was pretty comfortable with that one. But that's going to be the matchup to look at, to see what Indianapolis can do on the road against a team that has a very good defense and a very strong running game.
Yeah, it's going to be, that is a great matchup. And we have Luck against maybe Gabbert. That's a possibility. But the strong running game of Tennessee versus the defense that might have some trouble stopping them. You're right. That's going to be a great matchup.
Buffalo, by the way, came through with just enough against New England. New England didn't exactly, at home, blow them out. And although New England wins their division, no surprise there, you have to worry about them offensively, and their defense is just so-so. compared with some of the other high-level teams going into the postseason. And Seattle, they played a great game yesterday against Kansas City, and it looks like they could be going to Dallas. And if they go into Dallas, I think the Cowboys could be in trouble.
Yeah, that's a matchup that, Dallas is very hard to read. That's a very difficult team to read, but Seattle is a championship type mentality with a championship coach. The quarterback has been there a number of times. He performs on the big stage very well. Their wide receivers and Lockett and Baldwin, they perform. And you talk about pedigree and you talk about experience at the highest level on the biggest stage. Seattle has that. They're tough to beat.
Yeah, and so Minnesota, now that they've changed over to depending more on their running game, they blew out Detroit. That didn't surprise me any. And the Rams, I'm a little concerned because they sat, their prime running back. They beat Arizona big. That doesn't mean anything. They have not played all that well the last few weeks, and we have to keep an eye on that situation.
Yeah, that's one of those teams that the argument could be made that they peaked too early. And then there's another argument that defense has figured out how to stop them, and I don't know what answer is correct, but I hear those arguments. It is very possible either one of those arguments or both are correct. Definitely the head coach at Minnesota made the right decision when he decided to go to the running game more than the passing game. They are definitely a better team with what they're doing right now. So you got Baltimore and Cleveland next week. Baltimore is a 5 or 5.5 point favorite at home over Cleveland. Cleveland doesn't have anything to play for playoff-wise, but, here's a team that won one game in 2 years, and now they're 7-1. They're going to come to play. They're going to play hard in that game, and they're one of the hottest teams in football right now. Can they go in there and beat Baltimore? Yeah, anybody can beat anybody, of course. That's actually a very tough matchup with a team that could be a tremendous spoiler in that game. Should they beat Baltimore, of course, you got to expect Pittsburgh to beat Cincinnati. So that could be very interesting.
Well, this is again a quarterback who's been a hot run, a young quarterback who, remember a couple of weeks ago when he went into a team up against a team that had a strong defense, and he had a poor first half, and he came back somewhat in the second half, but they were too far behind. And this is another situation where he's playing against a very tough defense, and that gives Baltimore an edge over them, I think.
I think you're right. Tough defensively, that could be. That might, I look at the number 41. That's a very low total for today's NFL, but that could come into play. And of course, that's a Sunday game, so we got to check the weather because the East Coast has been getting some weather. So that's another point. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers close out his season. They're going to have a losing season. It's hard to, I don't think Rodgers, when he's healthy, he's had losing seasons much, if ever. They're going to go up against Detroit. Detroit looks like that's a team that would have liked the season to end a couple weeks ago rather than still be playing.
Well, as I said the television show, Detroit, Carry-On was out, so they were lacking a running game, and they only had one healthy wide receiver. It took a while for Minnesota to get going, but once they did, remember the last time they played Stafford, they had 10 sacks against them. and they didn't put a lot of pressure on Stafford early, but once they decided to get after him, they shut Detroit out. So Detroit doesn't have a lot of healthy bodies right now to throw out there.
And they probably don't care very much either at the moment. You know, it's the new head coach situation there. I don't think has worked out very well for them.
Oh, I don't know. You know, when they were healthy, they remember they scored some upsets early in the year. They beat some pretty good teams early on. So you know, I think they just but they got so many people hurt.
Hank, I don't think any of us has ever figured out why they traded Tate away in the middle of the season like that, like they did.
I think that they finally saw where their season was going, and they wanted to build for the future. But Tate is a real good receiver. I agree.
Yeah, I never understood that move. It was kind of like, okay, we're gonna throw our chips in now. I never understood it. Probably will never understand it. But anyway, Hank, got a couple days where it's almost no action, and we'll be back here again on Wednesday.
Denver, Oakland, and our hometown right now. They'll be interested in that game. But elsewhere, they may have a record low viewership on Christmas Eve. And then Wednesday, the bowl games start up again, and Boston College, Boise, that could be a good game. It's being played in Dallas. TCU, California, Miami, Wisconsin is on Thursday, and that's about it for this week as far as football goes, until the weekend.
Yeah, the bowls have been going really good, and I can't wait to get back to it. But the next couple days, personally, I'm going to take today and tomorrow and relax. As far as tonight's game is concerned, I have absolutely no interest. That is really.
I'm going out to dinner.
Well, actually, so am I, and I will not be watching one moment of that football game. It's.
You know what? I was 9-1 bowls going into the weekend, and then I had Memphis over Wake Forest, and I had a chance to win that game when the guy missed the 30-yard field goal and killed me in that game. So that ruined my streak. But hopefully I can get back on. I get the wheels back on.
I'm sure you will. That's a hell of a streak. And Hank's plays, by the way, are at jimfeist.com. I'm on a pretty good streak myself. In the last 24 NFL games, I've won 19 of them. So I'm 19-5 in the last 24 NFL releases that I put out. So
that's a hell of a run.
We're both hot, Hank, and we've got to keep it going. I want to wish you and yours a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and all that. And we'll talk again on Wednesday. Say hello to your sister.
I have a big holiday on Saturday.
Okay, tell me what that is.
Santa Anita has 4 Grade 1 stakes races.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, we could celebrate Saturday. We will do that, for sure.
There's no racing, and racing will start in California this weekend. Santa Anita reopens on Thursday, and Saturday they've got 4 Grade 1s, including, and I think a couple of them are winning your in races for the Breeders' Cup.
Whoa.
And one of them is a filly race on grass, which is a very important race. Which is I think it's $500,000 stakes, and that should be a very competitive race, and that's the highlight of a very good day of racing on Saturday there.
Awesome. I look forward to that. Hank, all best wishes to your sister and everything, and enjoy tonight's dinner and the Christmas day, and we'll talk again on Wednesday.
Okay, have a great Christmas.
Thanks, Hank.
And you and yours.
Thank you, Hank. Bye-bye, everybody. We'll talk couple days.
Okay.